Hello everybody, welcome to the video. I'm Sippy the Nomad, you're watching Nomad Games, and it happened. The random surprise Switch 1 Direct a week before the big presentation for the Switch 2 Direct on April 2nd came and gone, and there's some interesting stuff in there, so let's talk about it. We're going to start off with some random things here, and in the random things section, I'm going to talk about some things that didn't interest me per se. However, I am glad that they were in this presentation. And why is that? Pretty much because there's something for everyone in all these presentations. If it's put in a Direct, whether it be for Nintendo or Xbox or what have you, it's of note and someone wants it. And a lot of these things, people probably waited the entire duration of the Switch 1 life cycle for. So I'm happy that they're here, and we're just going to kind of power through these here. So we saw a Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD remake, which I thought was pretty cool. I really like the update to it. I've never played those games, but I know a lot of people have, and they really were excited to see that. There was Shadow Labyrinth. That looked pretty interesting. There was some random stuff in here like Disney Villains and that Marvel game. The Marvel kind of beat 'em up looking game looked pretty cool. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm kind of burnt out on Marvel. I know Marvel Rivals is the huge thing, but I love Captain America, love Spider-Man, love Iron Man, love all these guys. I've had enough for a while. One of the things that I was interested in that was kind of in this random thing section is the Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar. I liked the look of it. I thought the art style was really neat, and that kind of game does tickle me, I guess. I'm not going to say that again. Get out of here. And there was a cool Tamagotchi game. Those were things that I grew up with in the 90s, like the physical versions of them. So it's cool to see that they're making games on that. And that leads well into the things of note section, which are things that I saw in the Direct that I didn't necessarily know that I wanted, but now I kind of want. Starting off, we have the Tomodachi Life Living the Dream game. This one really caught my attention. It was quirky. It was weird. It starts off with a trailer of someone farting while they're asleep in public, and then obviously like the big thing a lot of people are talking about is like the girl that runs up to the other girl and she's huge and she's like, "Would you like to talk?" That kind of stuff. I don't know what it is about that kind of humor. It just got me. I was really interested in Tomodachi Life Living the Dream, so that's something to look out for. I did not know I needed that in my life, but here we are. Rhythm Heaven. I thought this was a really charming presentation. It started off where I was kind of like, apparently this is a series, long running, that people really, really love and adore and cherish. I thought the presentation started off strange, turned into something gradually more and more interesting. I thought that was a cool way to do a presentation instead of just like coming out with like big bombastic fanfare. It just kind of started slow and weird, and then it built up, and I thought the concept of it looks cool. It looks like a rhythm game kind of mixed with WarioWare. What am I thinking? Something. Moving on to the next thing of note, Witchbrook. I thought this was extremely charming. I love the art style. I love the isometric view. I thought just the concept of like wizard magic school is something that I'm interested in. This one seems more like a social life sim RPG. We didn't get a lot on it, but we got enough to pique my interest, and this is something I've never even heard of, or these aren't games I usually play. And just like with the previous two, something I didn't know I wanted, it perked my ears up, and now that's something that I'm looking forward to on the Switch 1. Just another game for me to get on the current Switch, which I am going to keep playing Switch 1 games even after the Switch 2 comes out. And the last game on my things of note section, this was actually brought to my attention before I even saw the Direct from my best friend. He like texted me and he was like, "Yo, they're bringing this Patapon 1+2 replay." It's also kind of like a rhythm game, a lot of rhythm type of stuff in here. I loved the music. I loved the art style of it. Pretty much just the entire vibe of it. And the gameplay looked fun. It looks like it's also a strategy game. I am super into this. And my buddy said this was a PSP game. He's huge in the PSP. This was something that he played growing up. I've never even heard of this or saw him play it. I watched him play a couple of PSP games, not this one. And now this is something that's on my radar, so hopefully it's on yours too. That looks pretty cool. Oh, and I did forget, there's one other thing too in my things and notes section. It's Eternal Life of Goldman. Really beautiful looking graphics, and the gameplay looks fun, and there's this quality about it that I want to keep watching the gameplay of it. So that's definitely one to look out for too. All right, now onto the main attraction, starting with Metroid Prime 4. Keep in mind, this is probably not the presentation that we heard rumors about at the Switch 2 Direct that's going to blow everyone else out of the water as far as like presentations. This isn't that, because this was the Switch 1 Direct. And if I'm being completely honest, while the game looks beautiful and I'm very excited for it, wonderful looking graphics, absolutely fantastic, especially for what I'm assuming they're still showing us Switch 1 gameplay of it. I'm guessing it's also going to be on the Switch 2, but we don't know that for sure yet. This was a little bit slow of a presentation. It was more kind of tutorial style where you get the beginning of the game. I'm assuming we've really only seen the first couple minutes of the game, besides maybe a few flashes of stuff at the end, including this guy and that thing. But for the most part, kind of slow, and it just kind of takes us through the paces and introduces us to new things that are definitely exciting, but I wouldn't necessarily say this blew everything else out of the water, even for this direct. Now, the other presentation that is rumored that should be really bombastic is for the one next week. In the midst of all this Switch 2 stuff and new game announcements and who knows what we're gonna get. So that one's supposed to be the one that blows us out of the water as far as presentations go. Maybe that rumor was just not right and this was it, and someone was just overhyped or something, but definitely not bad. I don't want you to get the impression that I think any of this is bad. So far, Metroid Prime, awesome. Some of my hopes for it, I hope we get more than just one biome. I think we are going to, because if you look at the game art for the cover of the actual physical game, you can kind of see sand dunes in the background and some other things that we don't necessarily get in the trailer. So it looks like there will be more than one biome. That's something that I don't know if it's just me. I have heard other people complain about this, but I cannot stand just one singular biome. Halo Infinite. Ooh. Sorry. Some cool things about the trailer that I really did like is the character designs. The enemies look pretty interesting. Hopefully there's some depth to some of them and they're not just like mindless insect aliens. I don't think we're going to get that because it does look like there are some like character enemies. We've seen possibly 2. The weird lasses that call you the chosen one. They seem pretty neat. I'm interested to know more about them. There's almost something off about them. Just a theory. And perhaps one of the coolest things that they revealed, and I know this is just an aesthetic thing, but it is always exciting to get something new in a new game. Samus has a new suit. It really looks cool. She looks like Iron Man mixed with like, I was going to say Iron Man mixed with some sort of like hot rod car, which is what he was going for with the color, at least in the movies. So we get Samus with a new outfit. It looks fresh. It looks mint. Moving on, we got more Pokémon Legends ZA. I am getting more and more excited for this game by the minute, I guess, by the presentation. And they showed us some pretty cool things in here. Now, graphically, let's just get this out of the way. Looks like hot dog water. I am one of those guys that I like to have nice graphics in games. We are on a console now where we just got a presentation where we can make things that look like Metroid Prime 4, and we are getting things that look like watch Beat 'em Up's video. He gets a lot of crap for those kind of videos complaining about Pokemon, but I am pretty much on board with a lot of the things he says in there. And guy's obsessed with awnings and windows. Can relate. They showed a little bit more battles and mechanics, not too much more as far as mechanics goes, like for like within the battles, but just like the game mechanics. I would consider this a mechanic where at nighttime, sun goes down, freaks come out. The people who just want to spend all their time catching animals and trapping them in little balls and then making them fight. How many concussions can these poor guys handle? Everyone comes out at night and you can like sneak attack people now. I don't know how ethical that is. I guess the Legends series is like early on in Pokemon. They haven't figured out that it's kind of a chump move to just like bushwhack someone. You can literally just bushwhack people in this game now. Okay, that's interesting. I think that's gonna be fun for the game. City does look a little bit more filled out. The graphics still, again, hot dog water, but the city, what they showed, these wild zones, at nighttime it looks a little cooler, and it does just kind of seem like there's a little bit more going on than in the original presentations. The characters look cool. I wonder what this like mystery is about it. They say there's more mysteries or whatever. Pokemon Legends ZA. I am pretty much in at this point. This one says late 2025. So that's one thing to note about this direct is not a lot of official dates. There was one thing that I think was shadow dropped. Everything else was pretty much just 2025 or late 2025. So I don't really know why at the end of the Switch's life they need to really hold out on the dates. I think it's just the nature of the business now. They don't want to give hard dates because then they have to delay. It's easier to just give windows and like internally know the date. And then if you have to push it, still within the window, no one complains. The next thing, and I think this is a really cool piece of tech that I wish was on the Switch the entire time, but it's gonna most likely be on the Switch 2, which is probably why they presented it here, the virtual game card. Now, upon hearing the explanation of this virtual game card in the presentation, and then watching a few videos afterwards to get an explanation, I am still a little confused, but I think I got it. Here we go. So initially, if you have two different Switches, so you have the base model and the OLED model, and then you want to play Mario Wonder, but it's only installed on your base model, and you want to move it over to your OLED, and you only have it digitally. You can do that, but I guess there's a lot of problems with it. I guess there's just problems in general with having a second account on a second Switch. Well, now, with these two devices connected to the same network, at least for the first time, you can switch the game over. It uninstalls it from your previous one and puts it on your new one. And then you can switch them back and forth. The other cool thing is you can lend games out to your family members. So if you have a household full of Switch people, they got the Switch Lite, the Switch OLED. They gave little Johnny the Switch Lite because he's the baby. He doesn't deserve a big Switch. He didn't deserve an OLED. He lucked out because I think the Switch Lite is actually peak. But a family full of Switch users, and only one of them bought Mario Wonder or Pikmin 4 or Animal Crossing, and they want to use that game. Well, they can lend it to them for 14 days. And then at the end of the 14 days, it automatically goes back to the lender's account. Pretty interesting. I think I got the grasp of it. What they're essentially trying to do is they are trying to make it so you have a similar experience digitally as you would with the physical game cartridges. I love physical game cartridges. I think I'm going to stick to that. I don't necessarily see myself going all digital. I have a couple digital games on my Switch, but I like physical. I like the physical cartridges. Love collecting that stuff. Pretty cool piece of tech. I'm glad it's here. A little bit too late, but I mean, better late than never. And I think that this could be something for Switch users and Switch families that will really change things up. And it'll almost, as weird as it sounds to say, within a household or within a group of friends, almost make it more of a social thing. You can trade games now. I grew up trading games, like physical games. I gave my best friend, what was it, Killer Instinct? Jojo, help me out. Did you lend me that? I'm mad at you. I'm mad at you for that. Yeah, we played Killer Instinct. We traded other games, but we played Killer Instinct. I think that's why that's in my mind, because I'm mad at you. I'm still mad at you. Whoops my every time. And finally, Shigeru Miyamoto came out and he had some sort of announcement. It wasn't a game announcement, but it was a pretty cool, like, one last thing. The new Nintendo Today app. I signed in with my Nintendo account. I think it makes you make one upon downloading the app, but it's pretty much just like a news feed for Nintendo news. They said they are going to be giving out daily Switch 2 news after the Switch 2, which kind of begs the question. I know there's always going to be ongoing Switch 2 news, but daily Switch 2 news? Does that mean launch is kind of close? How much more news could there be after we get this presentation? So are there just going to be like little drip feed of new games, new features, new things here? I can't imagine that, because I just, like, this upcoming Switch 2 Direct has to show us everything about the Switch 2. We have to, for people like me who have a Switch 1, and for all intents and purposes, I want a Switch 2 and I'm going to be getting one, but I still have yet to be completely sold on it. Like, there's a chance I might just see this presentation and be like, I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, they got to show us everything. So that's just my little theory that maybe the Switch 2 launch is actually pretty close after April 2nd. I know people are saying possibly June. I would like for it to be in June. Hopefully that is the case. I guess daily Switch news up until June isn't all that much, so the app can sustain it. And then there's obviously going to be more news after that. It's a cool little app. It's got a neat widget, and I like it so far. Cool UI. Nice, visually nice. I enjoy it. But that's pretty much all we got for you guys. I hope this video was not as long as I am guessing it is. I'm trying to keep it concise for you, but that was the surprise and most likely final Switch 1 Nintendo Direct. I am certain we are going to continue getting Switch 1 games at Directs, but they're probably primarily going to be Switch 2 focused. So let me know your thoughts. What was your favorite game? Are one of the games in my random list one of your favorites? I would love to hear these obscure games, this like weird devouring Pac-Man game, if that's something that's like the most anticipated thing for you. Or what are the other things? What do you think about Metroid, Pokemon, Virtual Games Card, or the Nintendo app? I would love to hear your thoughts. Let me know down below, and I will catch you guys in the next one.